Welcome to the Post-Human Podcast.
So today's guest, the international musical star, and I've listened to his stuff, it's fucking amazing. The owner of World Dominion Records, and here to promote his latest release, Gaz Reynolds.
Hello.
So howdy. We just spoke a little bit before. We just spoke a little bit before the show, just to test some stuff out. The first thing I want to get into is I absolutely love your tracks.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about what we spoke about, about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
In about 20 minutes. First of all, let me put these back on. I want to make an apology. I was meant to get you on the show a couple of weeks ago. Due to
Yes, you're a naughty boy.
I am due to there's minor health problems with that, but I am apologetic in that factor.
No, don't worry.
I was hoping to.
I'm glad you're well.
No, thank you. I wanted to promote the song before it sort of half came out, but like you say, it's a fucking hit. It is really a hit. I absolutely love it.
It seems to be going crazy everywhere at the moment.
Well, the track's called Bitches. Again, this is
that's what's doing it.
Well, it could be. It could very well be that. I love it.
Thank you.
One of the reasons that I love it, just because there's almost again, I'm not going to call you an older gentleman, but but for someone that's got a little bit more age upon me to release a track like that, it's very provocative, very in your face, and
yeah, that's why I did it.
And I tip my hat to it, because it should get a lot of recognition, and I absolutely love it. There's a lot of work went into it. I love the techno vibe to it.
Yeah.
There's sort of an industrial vibe as well.
There is,
behind it, which I love. Excuse me. I love the. I listen to the radio edit. But I listen to the different versions, because you've got a club version and so on. I love the solo guitar about 2 minutes in. Very, very. I love a lot of stuff like that, and it's very well crafted.
Sorry. Tim, it's interesting because years back, I'll tell you a little story now about kind of to do with this record and that guitar solo and a whole load of other bits related to it. But basically, about 15, 20 years back, when I was writing tracks, I always had a guitar solo in my tracks, and I really wanted to bring that back into this particular record, because I could just hear it in there.
Yeah.
And so I didn't play the guitar solo, my music producer did, and I said to him, this needs a guitar solo in it, and it needs sort of like a rocky type guitar solo. And he said, Gaz, I'm not sure about that.
Totally, he's wrong.
But anyway, no, he's such a great producer. He's like the best producer I've ever worked with, Nick Philpin. I'm sure he'll tune in and listen to this.
Yep.
It definitely worked, and I absolutely love it. And I even think now, there's going to be some more remixes coming out in the next few weeks. But I'm actually thinking we should actually have like a really rock version of this, really go all out with the guitars.
The only reason I don't say is wrong. He's probably is right in most of his decisions. I don't know the man, but when I listen to songs like that, and I loved it from the get go. But then when I hear a guitar solo in music like that, I go, wow, that there's
it really has got that wow factor in it, hasn't it?
And not only that, is then something again. Yeah, cheers while you're drinking that. There we go.
Oh yeah, cheers. I'm on dark fruits.
There we go. I'm on my usual perler. But after that, that guitar solo was about 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
And then what I also loved was about 50 seconds later, there was some beautiful harmonic vocoding in there.
Yeah.
And that also, it was very, very subtle in the background.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I used to make a bit of music. I'm a huge vocoding fan. Anything where you're just making music with your voice and then just adding whatever effects you can to it. A lot of a lot of distortion or just anything. To be honest, I do a lot of gatekeeping as well with your voice. I love stuff like that. But the harmonic bit after that guitar solo, I was like, wow, it was truly beautiful. And
well, the interesting bit is I hadn't actually how this all came about, because I ended up having writer's block. I used to release records all the time, and for about 15 years I had writer's block, and it was really bad because it was so frustrating for me, because I'm a very creative, artistic person.
Okay.
So really, to be quite honest with you, that's what I should be doing 24/7, is anything creative and artistic. And it was very frustrating that I just suddenly couldn't write songs, and I kind of gave up. But I had this massive record years back in the day, as I say, called Electric Kama Sutra.
Yeah, that's another one I was going to mention.
Yeah,
I love that as well.
Really well. That one's like, that track follows me around everywhere, it became massive on TikTok, and well, anyway, a lot of my followers on TikTok and that, they were saying, we need a new version of this, we need a new version. Well,
2021 is sick. That 2020 remix. That's what I was going to mention. It's bad.
What happened is this friend of mine, Nick Filkin, who's a great music producer, he actually came to me and said, Gaz, I really want to do a remix of this particular track. He said, I love it. And as it turned out, it was 15 years since the original version. So this is last year. So there's me not having released a record for like a new record.
Yeah.
Years. And I'm kind of a bit reluctant
to play the same sort of beat.
Yeah, to do it again. And I'm thinking everyone's going to say, all you do is remixes,
Yeah, it's a tricky move.
Anyway, I said, you can do it as long as you don't F it up. That's what I said to him. And so he came back, probably a couple of weeks later, with this track, which I just went, wow, I'm sure this is going to be massive. So it kind of got me inspired. And anyway, we put it out, and it just seemed to go crazy on TikTok and just about everywhere. I think we're still selling streams, or we're still getting streams on it now. And it was funny enough, just 2 weeks ago, because when that particular remix came out, there was no video, no promotion, nothing. It just sort of blew up.
Boomed.
Yeah, and but only 2 weeks ago I made a video for it, because it's still it still seems to be quite popular. And I came up with this crazy video idea, and I make all my own videos. I think I did a pretty good job of it. I think you've seen it, haven't you, Tim?
Yeah, again, I had to get onto TikTok to see it. I'm not a TikTok subscriber, so I couldn't get to look at all of your stuff.
It's actually on YouTube as well now.
Oh right, okay. I didn't see that. No, sorry.
Yeah, and so now that video seems to be pushing it along again. So we seem to be getting a lot of streams on that, and I thought it would probably, with Bitches being out and that video out as well, I thought probably the two videos out together might push each other along, and it seems seems to be happening. So now, next week, there's going to be a Bitches stroke Electric Kama Sutra release as well.
Cool, that's sick.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes. But so there's 3 mixes of Electric Kama Sutra on that version, plus the 2 versions of Bitches that you've heard already, which I think you're playing one on your show, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, what I was going to do is I'm going to plug them in at the start. So what I'll do is, if you wouldn't mind sending me the files, and then what I'll do is I'll plug it into the show. It just makes it easier that way, rather than it being a sketchy. I mean, I've occasionally tried to get people to play stuff live on here.
Right.
And it's very hard to manipulate unless you've got about 2 hours prior to get all your sound right. One of my somewhat regular guests, there's been, well, I call him a regular, has been on 3 times, but 2 of the shows are going to be behind a paywall just because it got very wild.
Right.
Very wild. But he's a close friend, and he does a lot of rapping and stuff. And it's very tricky because he's very, very good at his game, but he his voice is never overpowering the music,
Right.
which is the problem. You know, you can sit and listen to it, but if you can't hear his voice, then there's no point.
Yeah.
And it's been very, very tricky. Fingers crossed we're going to get something sorted. And one of the things that I'm going to do is, again, I'm taking a mild break, so to speak. I'm going to re-up my own production value. One of the things that I would like to have done, and I mentioned it probably a few months ago now, is having someone close out my shows.
Right.
Which I don't see many podcasters doing it. And it's again pretty tricky to manage and manipulate, because it means I've got to get a new artist every show, which, you know, it could come and go as it could. You know, some days I might get one, some I might not. And fingers crossed I can pull it off. But it's just going to take double the amount of time. But again, it's very tricky to do so, because you've got to do sort of almost sound checks per show, and doing that over a Zoom call is pretty tricky.
Yeah.
So again, it's always easier for me for me to plug people, for them to send me a track, and then I can go bang right at the start, right at the end. I mean, they can skip straight to it anyway, you know, especially if they're listening to it on Anchor, because it sections everything out.
Right.
You know, so even my intro, you can completely skip that and go straight to the show, which I advise people to do anyway. Some of your other songs that I did like, Dark Lady. I mean, I listened to some of your other stuff,
Right.
There's some very, very good tracks amongst those. There was an album you produced in 2018. Was that you? I mean, it come under your name.
I've done so much stuff, Tim. Half the stuff I can't even remember what I've done.
Yeah. Well, I'll say I was just skipping through, and obviously it gave all these new recent tracks.
Right.
And then it gave an album in 2018. There was a couple of good tracks on there. An Endless World. That was a great song.
Yeah, well, that's I own a record label called World Domination Records, and you're talking about one of the compilation albums that we.
Right, that's where.
Yeah, so there's quite a few sort of famous-ish names on those compilation albums.
I know there was some featuring,
Yeah, so quite often, like even these new records that I'm releasing, they'll probably come out on compilation albums as well, because I own World Domination Records, but I actually own other labels as well. So these tracks and remixes and all that kind of stuff probably will crop up on compilation albums, which is a good way of getting your name around, because if you've got a fan base, let's say for one artist, and they're on a compilation album, then there's a good chance that they're going to go and check out all the other tracks as well.
Well, I mean, I did try and mainly listen to some of your own tracks on there, because I know there was some featuring, but obviously that's a different game. You know what I mean? Obviously, the ones that I think the ones that I am mentioning, some of those were more specifically you under your name. One of the ones that I did listen to, because sometimes when I'm listening to your kind of music, I always want more, and especially with some of these remixes, I'm like, this is, you know, with the bitches, and then it goes into that guitar solo and the harmonics. I listen to a lot of psytrance and stuff like that, and I would almost like to have seen it at 7 minutes long.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
And El Condor Pasa was one of those songs that I found, which again was a very beautiful song that was 7 minutes-ish long, and I was like, there's one.
Well, actually, that's one of my artists on my record label called Somiak.
Okay.
And he's actually doing a remix. I spoke to him earlier, actually. He's actually doing a remix of Bitches, which probably will be 7 minutes long, and it will be very probably psytrance-y-ish. He's done quite a lot of remixes of my tracks in the past, and he's a brilliant producer, so I'm quite excited about that remix coming out. So there'll be some other remixes of Bitches coming out in the coming sort of weeks and months, even, because what happened is there's been so many problems with getting this actual release out, because like I said, I haven't actually released a brand new song in 15 years. So I wanted it to be good, and that's why the production and everything's really solid.
It's very crisp, all of it. It's very
everything. I wanted it all spot on.
Very well crafted, well crafted and put together.
Thank you. Even down to the cover, you know, the cover art, I wanted it to be very different, and there's a story behind the whole record, because you probably don't know about this, but last year maybe some of your listeners might be interested in this, but last year I was accused of being a death cult leader of a YouTube channel called 2020 Vision. I had nothing to do with it at all, but basically the YouTube channel was predicted in 2017. This YouTube channel was set up, and they predicted a whole load of celebrity deaths, and they all actually happened, and they were predicted in 2017 for 2020, and they all happened in 2020.
Right.
Well, what happened is somebody pointed the finger at me, and it became a viral story that I was actually behind that 2020 Vision YouTube channel. You should go and check it out, actually.
This sounds wild. This is my kind of story. This is
it's
great.
Really kind of really crazy story, and it was exactly the same day as Electric Kama Sutra 220 came out. So it's very strange, because what happened is this story went viral, and all these big creators, there was one on TikTok who's got, I don't know, 7 million followers, and he became like my worst enemy because he was trying to get me cancelled. He was saying, this guy is marketing his record off of dead celebrities' names. This is disgusting. Well, I had nothing to do with it. And then there was big YouTube videos being made, you know, big YouTubers making videos about me as well. So, and they were all going viral. Like, we're talking 6, 7, 8 million views on some of these videos. Yeah. And so what I saw is my TikTok channel at one point was blowing up because I was this new messiah. And then there was these nasty people like this TikToker who was attacking me, saying, no, he should be cancelled. And he made 3 videos on me. They all went like mega viral. We're talking millions and millions of views. And so I had to make a YouTube video, and I included all these clips and everything, and sort of explained my side of the story. And I also went on TikTok and explained my side of the story, but all the trolls had got in at this point. Death threats and the whole lot. So it got quite for a few weeks it was quite stressful. But then very strangely, just as I announced, you know, this was like almost a year on, I'd announced that I was actually coming out with a brand new track called Bitches. But the actual person who was behind that 2020 Vision channel actually came forward and did a face reveal. And as it turned out, it was somebody that I actually knew. And that was the crazy thing. And he was going to do a sort of a documentary about me at one point.
Wild.
Very strange. And so I got him on my YouTube channel and I interviewed him and I asked him why he did it. And he said what happened is it's all started off as a joke. And then about 4,500 people were pressuring him in his one of his lives that he was doing.
Yeah, the
they were saying, "Who are you?"
That shit. Yeah.
And he had been watching one of my videos that day because he's a fan of my music and stuff. And he said, "Oh," and he sort of doxed me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so then everyone started pointing the fingers, saying it was me. But anyway, he did it as a joke, and it was kind of crazy how it all went viral. But it did me a favor in a way, because now I'm here releasing a new record, and that's partly what this record's about, is that whole story. So I'm basically saying all those bitches, they were having a go at me, but it's not just about them, it's about a whole load of bitches in my life, you know. So and I thought people would be able to relate to it, and and the whole song was actually written in 10 minutes. I was actually driving to meet a friend of mine for lunch, and I just started getting this chorus, them bitches, they all took my riches. So I thought I must pull over, write this down. And then I remember later on in the day, I actually rang my music producer up and I sang my ideas down the phone. He said, Gaz, this is going to be great. You need to get in the studio. Come here tomorrow. So I went straight in the studio and we nailed it.
Nice one. That's amazing. That's amazing, but it's the wild story behind that.
I know it's a really crazy story, but you know, my whole life has been very, very strange. Sometimes I am the sort of person, you know, I admit that sometimes I do things to get attention.
I know what you mean.
Well, being a bit provocative. Release the record, you know, and then go around telling everybody about it. I'm a bit of an attention seeker. But a lot of the stuff that happens to me is so bizarre and so strange, and I sometimes wonder, why is it happening to me? But then I kind of accept that it's just part of my life and me.
Yeah. I mean, don't
I've
worry.
almost died 3 times as well. There's a song coming out about that soon as well.
I've almost been there myself in sort of weird moments, but some of those were mostly drug relatable, and
right.
some of them were just me being an idiot. And then looking back, I go, that was a bit of a close call.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got like a again, for the listeners out, you're probably not going to be able to see it, but you probably won't be able to see it yourself. I have a scar that runs like all the way down there, like it runs all the way around my whole thumb.
Yeah, I can see something.
And it literally, well, it had to have about 50, 60 stitches for how small it is, and it goes
nasty.
It goes literally the inside of my thumb round the outside of my hand. And that was just me, again, making a stupid mistake and a foolish error, trying to just jump over a spiked fence.
Oh, nasty.
And unfortunately, I caught my jumper. So my jumper got caught, and as it caught, it went down.
Oh.
And there's a bigger story behind that, but it wasn't nothing really dodgy. I was a child, but it was just a foolish mistake. But it was the most amount of blood I've ever seen in my entire life. It was wild, to the point where when I got to the hospital, and they really looked at it, said, you was pretty close to severing some main arteries.
Yeah.
And for them to tell me that after I'd seen that amount of blood, I had to sit outside. It was crazy as well. I was bunking off school at the time. So there's the other side of the story. And unfortunately, which was another foolish mistake, is my mum didn't get back from work for about 15, 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
So, there was about a 10-minute walk from where the incident happened to my house. And that was just drops and pull, one of them, if you have a big cut, and, it was pretty bad to the point where when I again, I was with a friend at the time, an old school friend. When my mum pulled up in the car and she seen me, and I've like half had to tourniquet my hand like a crazy man, and it was pretty wild. But I think a lot of people have had all these,
well, I was going to say, I've got one that can outdo you. If you want to hear
away.
it.
I love to hear stories. I'm a storyteller, and I love to hear stories.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a chatterbox, so I did warn you. So what happened to me? This is probably 4.5 years ago, I guess now. I woke up one morning and I was feeling like I had some kind of tummy bug, but I just carried on with my usual day. And anyway, the tummy bug started going on for weeks and then months. And everyone was saying to me, get to the doctor, get to the doctor. Well, eventually I did actually go to the doctor, but I'm a bit stubborn and put things off, you see.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I end up at the doctor. They do an emergency blood test on me, because by this time I haven't eaten for probably a month, I would say. So I didn't eat or even drink anything for a month, which is very unusual for me. And so I really had no energy at all. And anyway, the blood test comes back that evening. It was rushed through as an emergency. You need to get to the hospital now. There's something very dangerous inside you. Well, I didn't listen. The following day, I just carried on as normal. And I think within a couple of days, I just couldn't even get out of bed. And it turned out that I had sepsis, and I had literally hours to live. So I was rushed into hospital, and I had to have a very nasty emergency operation, which even to this day is kind of psychologically scarred me a bit.
Yeah.
But and then we discovered that I had other complications around my heart, and there was a whole load of things. So I've had a bit of a nightmare, and that's why I thought I better get another record out, because if I snuff it,
well, that's what I was just going to get into. Yeah. Well, that's what I was just going to get into. I did say at the start of the show we spoke about something 30 seconds ago, and we'll get into it in about 20 minutes. So I was going to lure around into that. I was hoping it would segue into that, which it did. It's a very, very bold thing to do. Again, before the show, you did mention your heart problems, and it's for someone to pursue something, and the way that you're doing it is fucking amazing, you know.
Thank you.
And for someone to do that in stages where your health is pretty poor, it is very courageous. It's very bold. It's a very admirable thing. It's very hard to do it, you know.
I try not to let things get in the way, but it can be quite tricky at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I mean. Don't get me wrong. I've been there myself. You know, even this month, I get kidney stones due to my own fucked up.
I remember you saying,
and this month's been terrible for it. And obviously, it's fucked up my own consistency, and I've had to apologise to numerous guests for fucking up. And sometimes, you know, I've tried to battle through it, and I should have been resting. It's kind of why I'm going to take a little bit of time off, just so I can make sure I get this stone pissed out, work on a bit of production value, and you know, just get things moving again.
Don't take too much time off.
Oh no, trust me, I won't be taking that much time off, and hopefully, fingers crossed, if I plan it the way I do. Because my consistency, I can release pretty, you know, I can work my bollocks off for three or 4 days, and I'll be good for about a month.
Tim, if you want to know how I actually looked when I had sepsis, look over at that guy behind you. I looked like him.
Well, I was almost there myself. A few years ago, I mistakenly thought I had a kidney stone, and I've been dealing with since I was about 22. And I think I was about 25 at the time, and I'd pissed about 3. And I thought, oh, here we go, another fucking stone again. I was getting them pretty regular because I wasn't really changing my diet much. I was young and I was still pissing around.
Right.
And I thought, this is another stone. We'll piss it out in a couple of days or a week, because I was getting a bit of pain, and it felt similar, but it didn't quite feel the same. And then there was a moment where I was just like, no, this really isn't the same. So I phoned up my mum to take me to the hospital, and they was like, yeah, you've actually got an infection. You're not far off sepsis. And I was like,
well, we know all about sepsis.
Yeah. And I was like, that's crazy. I was like, I didn't know what sepsis was up until that moment.
I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Until I was in hospital and I was dying from it. I had 4 hours to live, and I had to go in for an emergency. I literally, you're talking about pissing stones and that. Yeah. I was literally pissing blood, and it was coming out my ears, my nose, my eyes, everywhere, and I was covered in blood.
I mean, that's the thing, is when it, because all mine was just an infection that just travelled up, and that's all it was, and it had obviously kind of just about got to my kidneys, and shit was getting a bit serious.
Yeah.
But if it had kept going, I don't know if I. And again, you know, we spoke about being stubborn, and that's kind of a lot of it. Sometimes you don't quite know your own body. You know, you think you do, but you don't really know. And
I'm not disappearing. Don't worry.
No, it's all good.
I'm just putting another light on.
No, you're all good. Don't worry. But it's something that, you know, even me, I'm 30 years of age, and you know, I'm now looking.
You don't look a day over 21, I must say.
Thank you. That's well, this is
at that point you're supposed to say, well, Gaz, you look about 20.
Well, you do. That's the thing.
I agree.
Well, even then, you know, I think age is just a number. You know, the stuff that you're doing is stuff that I could be doing.
That now you see, I've had a lot of stick on TikTok, for example, where there's a lot of people my age, I might add, who are creating stuff, but a lot of younger people, they think TikTok's only for young people, and it's not. It's for
I think it is.
Well, it's not.
I know it isn't. That's what's mad. I know it's not.
You've got Dua Lipa on there. You've got Elton John. He's not 13, is he? Elton John's on there all the time.
Didn't even know Elton John on a TikTok. That's wild.
Yeah, he's on there all the time. And the thing is, TikTok's really good for music and music marketing. So really, any musician that's on there any musician that's planning to put a record out, they should be on TikTok, to be quite honest with you. And if it wasn't for TikTok, this record wouldn't be out now.
Well, I mean, I've thought about going on there a few times, just for short clips, because most of what I do is all long form.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem. I've not seen well, I think TikTok videos are pretty short, and that's the point of it, I believe.
They are, yeah, but now they've got the option of 3 minutes. I did actually put the full version of the bitches video on TikTok, but it didn't work too well on there.
Yeah,
I didn't think it would, because really you have to do short film. To be quite honest with you, the best videos that work on TikTok are going to be less than 15 seconds.
Yeah, they're about. I've noticed a lot of YouTube shorts. Most of those are TikTok videos, about 12 seconds long.
Yeah, you know why? Because these days, most people's attention span is very, very short.
Too short.
And so if you want to, for example, sell a record and you're promoting it on a video, you've got to keep that video sort of boom, 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 boom. Tell them everything you need to know in about 5 seconds, and then it's gone. And my distributor, now I'll tell you another story as well, because a lot of people might not know about this, but I've got, I was very fortunate about probably 20 or 25 years ago to get a worldwide distribution deal. And I'm an independent artist. To get a distribution deal is like
that's pretty big. Yeah.
And my distributor basically works like a record label. So if they like they've really backed my last 2 releases big time. So they actually put an advertising campaign in. We've got one on Bitches. So at the moment the record's being advertised on TikTok. I think it's going live on Facebook and Instagram today, YouTube. So that should push in quite a lot of traffic into. We're particularly sort of targeting Spotify, because if you can get like really mega, well, that's where it is at the moment. And I'm trying to get a chart hit. So
you ever been on the green room in there?
No.
There's have you heard of Clubhouse?
Yeah.
There's a Spotify do their own version of that called the Green Room, and it's a bit. It's pretty much exactly like Clubhouse. Right. I'd imagine that could work quite well for yourself if you're trying to keep breaking into Spotify alone. I mean, I'm not really trying to break into anywhere, but I'm not really trying at the moment. I'm just doing what I'm doing, and if I was to try, it'd probably take up too much of my time. As a single man fucking army. But if I was just singularly trying to break into Spotify, I'd probably spend a lot of time in that green room.
Yeah, well, what's happening at the moment, and this is the first time this has happened, is my distributor actually said, we can pitch this record. And I said, well, what's pitching? Because I really didn't know. And basically, because there's such, I mean, they've got me verified, my distributor, on quite a lot of platforms.
Yeah.
So, which I wouldn't have been able to do on my own. That they've got different teams that go to, say, Facebook or I don't know, TikTok. I'm waiting to be verified on there. Hopefully, I'm verified soon. So they'll go to like Spotify and Amazon and Apple, and they'll say, right, we've got this new hot track, and this is what's happening at the moment. We would think you should listen to this and try and put it on some of your playlists. So that's where we're at the moment. But I need, hopefully your listeners will go and stream my track. It's called Bitches on Spotify. So more streams I'll get on it, the more information that goes over to Spotify, and the higher chance then of them putting it on one of those really big playlists.
Well, that's what it is.
Suddenly your track can go 10 million streams, can't it?
I mean, the reason Spotify is pretty good, and I know Apple's very good, is it's very good for the analytics. I mean, I use Anchor for just distribution, and to be honest, the analytical side of it is what it is. Sometimes it's a bit hit and miss, because I've in a singular day, I've had people message me and go, "Man, listen to your fucking show earlier; it was wicked." And then I'll look at my stats, and they'll be like, "These are a bit. You're not really telling me that, are you?" Especially in terms of tens.
Sometimes it's like I've seen with Bitches. The first day I was really watching the analytics, and I think I was expecting some really big stuff to happen.
Yeah.
And the first day, nothing happened, and I thought, it doesn't even look like anyone's listening to it. How can this be with the amount of promotion? I did so much pre-promotion, like 3 or 4 months.
It works on a monthly roll, I found.
Well, no. What happened is the day after, it just went boom, and But what I've noticed with Spotify is their analytics seems to run really slow. I think they've slowed everything down.
Right.
Probably because they're checking every single stream.
Maybe. I mean,
because it's all monetized, isn't it? You see, so
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. They have to as well, because if you want monetization, there is a lot of stuff that you can't. Well, you can't really say. Some stuff will get you shadow banned. Certain words, for example. You know, if you say a certain word so many times, you're probably not going to get some money for it.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
because it is what it is.
This is why it was a bit risky putting a record out called Bitches.
Bitches, yeah.
My music producer, he said you're going to be called a misogynist and all these things, and I said, I don't care. What I do is I write songs which I think they're songs that I like. That's why I'm writing them. I can't say that I'm writing them for any particular market or anything. I'm writing about things that have happened to me in my life. So hopefully a title like Bitches, well, people can relate to it in a way, because part of it's about some of my ex-wives too. But the thing is, people, you know, you don't, like someone said to me the other day, and I don't want to cause offense to anybody, but even a dog can be a bitch, can't it? So I wasn't trying to be offensive, right? Because if you look at the lyrics of the song, there's nothing offensive in there.
There's nothing that's directed. It's
and there's nothing offensive in the video either. I could have been offensive, because actually, if we're honest, most songs these days, even in the charts, well, they're kind of all about death and killing people and using the N-word and all kinds of stuff, which might be seen as being offensive. And the word bitch comes up quite a lot. And what happened with my song, this is an interesting story, hopefully, is my distributor, they said, this is going to get banned straight away.
Great.
For profanity.
Love it.
So, yeah, and they said, you're going to have to put a parental advisory on this. And I said, no.
No.
I said, no, I'm not doing it, because why should I? Because there's nothing offensive about it. The title is not even Bitches. It's B, then a star, THES.
And to be honest, if you see that, you know what it means.
Yeah.
You're not stupid.
Said, no, you have to call it Bitches, and it will have to go through our legal department. So this is what caused all the delays on the release of the record, because there was about 3 or 4 different release dates, and it kept on getting pushed back and changed and all this. And what happened is the distributor, they managed to get it cleared so that it wouldn't get banned on Spotify and Amazon and all the rest of it, and Apple. So it was then released, because apparently a radio edit can't get away with that title, but I managed to. And the reason why is because I made a legal argument, which was, have you ever heard of Dixie D'Amelio?
I haven't, no.
Right. Well, Dixie D'Amelio is probably one of the biggest social media stars out there at the moment, with about, I don't know, 70 million followers just on TikTok. And she has just gone into music, and she's only been in music for about a year, and she released a record, get ready for it, called Fuckboy. I hope I'm allowed to say that on your show.
Yeah, you are. Listen, trust me, this show,
well, that's
again,
the song.
That's the title of the song. There's no parental I don't put labels on my show, trust me. This is not safe for work.
But that is the title of the song. So I went to my distributor along with another social media star who I'm a big fan of, called Bella Porch, and she released a record called Build a Bitch, but she had the star where the I is, right? So I went to my distributor and I made a legal argument, which is, why are they both allowed to release those records, but I'm not allowed to release my record? Is it because they're bigger artists than me, or is it because they're females? So I made those two comparisons straight away. I kind of went more on the male thing, but I did use that I'm a smaller creator than them as well, and I won that legal argument. So that's how it came out, and I didn't have to put parental advisory on it.
But I mean, again, it's all the way the lyrics are aimed as well. You know, if you're aiming it in a derogative sense, then it's like, okay, we know what you're doing here, pal. you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's not, is it? That's the difference.
But the thing is, as my music producer said to me probably a few days ago on the phone, he said it's quite interesting that that song, the lyric, the title could be perceived as being quite negative, but then it's a very upbeat song.
Yep.
And I said exactly, and that's what I do in all my songs. I kind of come up with these, like I've just written a record, which is probably going to be my next record, called I Love Electronic, and people will probably think, what the hell's that about?
That's good.
Well, thank you. But it's about my love of electronic music. But so people probably, sorry,
no, carry on. Just finish.
Yeah, but probably people would think, well, what's this about? I love electronic. What is this, a person? Or what is it? But I kind of relate to that as if it is a person in the song.
So, what kind of music inspires you? Because when I listen to your stuff, I can pick up certain stuff from artists that I listen to. I listen to a lot of Infected Mushroom, a lot of Savant, a lot of old industrial stuff as well. Turn Me On Catalog, fucking Rammstein. I listen to a whole mess of stuff, but I can, when I listen to some of your stuff, especially with the when it was the solo and stuff like that, I was like, oh, holy shit, this sounds very good. And it was why I was so drawn to it, because it sounds like a lot of stuff that I listen to.
Right.
But who inspires you? What inspired you to?
Well, everyone from Elvis Presley through to a whole load of 80s pop stars such as.
Can I just say one thing, because I know I'm going to forget this. This is a very good point. It is on Elvis Presley as well. During the last several days I had off, I watch a lot of documentaries. I watched a documentary about Elvis.
Yeah.
And it was on Netflix. I think it was called Searching for Elvis, something like that.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
It was 2 parts, an hour 30, an hour 30. And it basically broke down his life from start to finish. And it was, and to be honest, I wouldn't have normally looked at it, but I was like, let's give this a whirl. And it was fantastic. I had no idea how, I mean, you just, even as someone my age, you just hear, King of Rock and Roll, shit like that. And, you hear stories from your parents and whatever about how good he was, but then you don't really know much. But then that documentary was another one of them. I've watched a few eye-opening documentaries over the last few days, and that was another one. And it was very fantastic in terms of his life and, the fact that he was drafted, and what was really bad was obviously, in terms of his manager, I didn't have any idea about how much. He
was just a complete control freak.
Yeah, the Colonel, he was a fucking, it was crazy.
He just had too much control over him. But interestingly, just 2 days ago, I thought, what's Elvis Presley's daughter up to now, Lisa Marie Presley? Because she...
married to Michael Jackson at one point.
Yeah, and also, oh God, I forget the movie star's name.
It doesn't matter.
I can see his face. After the show, probably. But anyway, I went and checked her out because I used to be very good friends with Elvis Presley's cousin, Donna Presley. And Donna looks just like Lisa Marie, and Lisa Marie looks just like Elvis. So everyone in the family actually looks kind of like Elvis. It's really uncanny. But I used to be very good friends with Donna Presley, and she was best friends with Billy Ray Cyrus, who's So that's an interesting connection I had with Elvis. But I grew up on Elvis, so that was like one of my big inspirations. But it might not come through necessarily in all of my songs. But I have done one or two sort of rock and roll type thing. But then I really got into the Pet Shop Boys when they first came out, and that's how I learned to write songs, because I bought an album of theirs called Please, and I listened to it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and I taught myself, because I'm totally self-taught, how to sing, how to write, and how to play. So I worked out how to put songs together, and then later on, years later, because people ask me about like the Bitches video. Well, I directed, produced, and filmed that myself, and I'd never actually really put a pop video together before. And funny enough, I had film companies and production companies coming to me because they'd heard Bitches, because I touted it around before it even got released. And I had companies coming to me saying, we want to make the video for this and we'll do it free.
Sure.
Because obviously they'll probably, they'll get the name around. I suppose.
Yeah. Well, there's some contracts involved with that probably weren't,
Well, I said, no, thanks very much, but I really want to do this myself, because it's the first song that I've done in 15 years.
You have to be humble about it as well.
Yeah, but I said I'm going to put my heart and soul into this, which I think I did, and I loved every minute of the whole editing, and I've really enjoyed the whole thing. And that's when I decided I was going to do an Electric Kama Sutra one as well, and but yeah, I'm really pleased with what I'm doing, and it's inspired me to write new tracks. I've got 2 albums coming out next year. Well, 1 album plus a remix version of that album, so that makes it 2 albums. And that's called Wrath of the Dance Gods. I come up with these unusual crazy
name. That's a good name.
Well, if you want me to tell you about that now, I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Wrath of the Dance Gods. I've always had this. If you're into UFOs and gods and things,
oof.
I'm not religious.
Oh, you're talking to the right person.
Yeah, well, I've seen some very unusual things on my travels around the world.
Well, let's get into that.
but there's one. But I've always believed that there isn't, and I might offend some religious people here, but which I'm not trying to do. But my belief is that maybe it's quite possible aliens visited this planet hundreds or thousands of years ago, and so civilizations, human beings that are already here, believe that those aliens were actually gods.
The gods,
because if you look at it, every god comes from the sky. Have you noticed that?
Well, I take it you getting your title from Chariot of the Gods, by any chance?
Yeah,
by Graham Hancock?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, so this is what I'm trying to say is that I've always had this interest, and this idea has been sort of floating around in my head for years. Wrath of the Dance Gods. And
it's a great name. It's a great name.
Well, I think it's going to stand out. So I thought, so I took the inspiration of these ancient aliens were the gods, and on the cover, I'm sort of, I wanted to be a god as well, so I'm a pharaoh, and there's all these UFOs above me on the cover, and then there's all these other gods and people worshipping us. So I think that might be something that might stand out.
That will stand out. That is something that again, I'm very good at getting people into segues about most of my show. I like to talk about aliens and paranormal weird shit.
Yeah, love all of that.
Conspiracies. And occasionally I'm very good at segueing into it without any, I can manipulate the conversation into it and go, well, what do you think? And you've almost done it for me. It's brilliant. I too believe that. Here's what I think. I think you're totally right. I think that probably hundreds of thousands of years ago, we were probably visited. I think that civilization's been wiped out maybe 3 or 4 times over.
Possibly.
But I think it's probably, because certain knowledge, and you can go back to 10,000 BC and you go Bekli Tepe out in Turkey, and that some of that stuff is 10,000 years old plus.
Yeah.
And they've only uncovered what would be next to nothing of that.
That's right. And they're discovering stuff all the time.
All the time.
At some point, I believe that they will unearth some alien artifact.
Well, they probably could have had. I mean, they probably
may have done already and hidden it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm heavily into UFOs, and there's, if you're into like Bob Lazar and people like that, he claims that they was working on stuff that some of the stuff they shot down, some stuff that they dug up.
Yeah.
And But I believe that years ago, this is my own theory. It's mixed up with a bunch of other theories, but I think that that's probably happened X amount of times. We probably were genetically altered in some way by
that's
the
what I
gods.
believe as well. I always believe that.
But also by mushrooms, which, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I believe. I think that mushrooms played a big factor, but they were probably brought here. You know, there's probably a bunch of stuff that was brought.
People
along.
listening to this now might be thinking we're a bit wacky.
No, but that's my show. That is what it is.
And I'm wacky anyway. So,
No, the people that listen to this show listen to it for this probably this reason. But trust me, we talk about ghosts. There's all sorts of shit that comes up.
I love all of that. Ghosts, UFOs, anything like that.
But I think that, you know, over these times we was fucked around with the same way in which we're fucking around with DNA now. You know, we've been cloning. We've been cloning for 20 years. We cloned a sheep 20 odd years ago. What can we do now?
Well, they're cloning mammoths as well.
Yeah, well, that's the new thing. They've brought.
And the Russians are saying that they're going to have dinosaurs soon as well.
I didn't hear that yet.
That's what they're saying. But I ever since, even when I was at school, they were saying that they had mammoths. So, well, we'll see. I think it's
scary.
Possible.
Imagine being on a battlefield. And you're on a battlefield and you're bringing your troops out, and then a bunch of fucking wild raptors, radio controlled, come charging at you with that big fuck off claw on their foot.
Well, we're gonna see probably in the next 20 years. This is something I don't want to give too much away, but I've got a video coming out which has got robots in it, and it's because I love robots. But I think in the next 20 years we're going to see mass production of robots.
Yep. There's Elon Musk recently mentioned that that robot he wants to bring out that's almost a bit like a servant.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah,
looks very sleek. Yeah, it will happen.
Happen. Yeah.
But just quickly going back, I also then believe going back to all the ancient stuff is I'm a pagan.
Right.
I believe in a whole bunch of. I'm not fucking into the devil. But I believe in a lot of older gods. I think a lot of Greek gods are probably true.
Yes.
A lot of
that's a big influence in my
Egyptians, and I also believe that some of these old myths, you know, even Norse myths, I think a lot of it was true.
I think it was,
I think that giants existed. I think that through these weird genetic mutations through humans, there was some fuck ups, man. You're never going to get it right. Could be doesn't matter who the fuck you are, you're not going to get it right the first time.
No.
And you know, you get these Greek myths where we're fighting fucking minotaurs and weird fucking creatures. You know, creatures that were part man, part animal. And I think that happened, and we had to fuck it up and erase it.
Yeah, I think it did. And I think at some point we might unearth some of these things.
Yeah.
And then go, wow, or maybe they already have been, and the governments have covered it up because they're worried about how people are going to react. You know, it's rather like I went out to get some fuel yesterday. Slightly different, but as you know, we've got a big fuel crisis on at the moment.
We have,
and I'm being told, oh, there's fuel here, and I'm thinking, well, I've got no fuel in my tank. I'm not taking a risk. Anyway, I eventually get to a fuel station, and I've heard Boris Johnson on the TV saying, oh, we're getting it under control. It'll all settle down in the next couple of days. Now, he said that like 4 or 5 days ago. And there's me turning up at this fuel station, and everybody's beating. Well, it seemed like they're beating each other up. They're all wanting an argument over fuel. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? I probably went off the subject a bit from.
No, I know what you're getting at, though. I know what you're getting at. Don't worry.
So to me, and what I'm trying to say is the government covers everything up.
Well, not even that.
Up, playing it down.
Well, what I took off that is if people are breaking out because of fuel shortages over lorries, lack of lorries and whatever, imagine divulging some crazy news. Like, hey, listen, everything you've known for your whole life is wrong.
Well,
it's like, wait a minute, fuck.
You know, I almost did something very crazy yesterday for TikTok, because when I saw all these fights and everything going on, unfortunately, I wasn't in a filming mood. But I came home afterwards and I thought, why didn't I stand there with all these fight scenes going on and going, forget the fuel, get over to Spotify and stream my new song. It's far less stressful. That's what. If I'd done that, I probably would have had 1 million streams.
Yeah, it's always after these moments that you're like, ah, shit.
Well, normally I do actually. I come up with these really crazy, wacky ideas of how I marketed the new version of Electric Kama Sutra last year. It was quite crazy because I just did it purely on TikTok, and I was getting my followers to send me to different locations where I could sing my song outside those locations. So they would send me to places like Wetherspoons. Oh, you do that outside Wetherspoons and sing your song, you've got 160,000 views straight away. But if I'd done a live performance of it, I probably would have got 5,000 views.
Yeah.
Crazy. But if you have the Wetherspoons logo in the background or the Tesco logo in the background, suddenly you've got.
Might start podcasting in the middle of Morrison's.
Yeah, go in Morrison's.
Go down the nutmeg aisle.
There, big breakfast. And podcasts from there. But food's a popular thing. And this was, I was talking about some of the delays and all kinds of weird things that happened to almost prevent this Bitches record from coming out. Was this might sound a bit crazy, but my music producer, he's a Cockney and he's from the East End. Well, he said to me that he isn't, but I said, no, you are for the purpose of this video, because because what happened is I got a sponsorship deal from a pie and mash shop in London. It's crazy. And this is crazy. And so they said, yeah, come along, we'll sponsor you, and you can do your video in here. We'll give you all the food you want, and
I'll give you all the food, all the pie and mash you'll ever need.
And I love pie and mash anyway. So
can't complain.
So well, we must go out for pie and mash one day. Do a video, you and I, and we'll put it on TikTok or something. But anyway, so we were supposed to be going on the day that was to be released, and this is the type of thing that's happened all the way through this thing. And Nick unfortunately got sick, and so that didn't happen. And Nick, don't worry, we'll be going very soon if you're listening in. But yes, we had to postpone that video. But there was other things like my backing vocalist on the track, who's a good friend of mine. She became sick when the day that we was going to film the Bitches video. So I suddenly had to come up with a totally new idea for Bitches, because originally in Bitches there was lots of celebrities in it, and they had all filmed their clips on phones because we was in a sort of like semi-lockdown. So I thought actually people might be able to relate to that. But when my backing vocalist couldn't be involved, and then a few other people had problems, and some got COVID, and so it all kind of. So I thought, oh damn, I need a video. How am I going to get around this? And then I remembered, my friend in China, she's a really good dancer, and so I emailed her and I said, this is what I want you to do, and I want you to be wearing a mask. And then she said, okay Gaz, give me a couple of days and I'll come back with that. And then so she green screened everything. Luckily I went out and bought green screen stuff, and then we came out with that video, and I'm very pleased with it.
Green screens are always good. I mean, I've got one, but I've not used it yet. I mean, it's actually over there. I've just not had. I mean, the thing with green screens as well, you need a hell of a lot of lighting.
You do. Funny enough, I've just put one of my what I call green screen lights on now.
Yeah,
but,
you need.
If I put one on over there, then I wouldn't be so.
It's got to be really natural. And it's really. I mean, again, I'm sort of in a makeshift studio in my garden.
Yeah.
Which most
looks good. I like it.
It's all right. It does the job. It's currently coming up to winter, so again, that's not going to be fun. But luckily, that's going to be a problem that will be rectified during the time off.
Right.
But yeah, I built most of it myself. Like fucking.
Well, it looks pretty good.
Built my desk. I mean, there's LEDs around everything, but it's occasionally it just gets hot. A couple of months ago, when it decided to be 34 degrees, it got up to 50 in here.
You'll be roasting in there.
Yeah, it was 50 degrees.
But of course, when the cold weather comes, then you'll be really cold.
Freezing. Yeah, well, it's a problem that will be sorted. I mean, we spoke about like your next steps. Obviously, you went on tour. You know, you've been to fucking different places. You've said.
Yeah. Not
Um,
recently.
no, not recent. No, not recently. Have you got any plans to do anything like that?
Well, what I'm hoping is we can get the streams up um, on Bitches and generally everything on my Spotify page, and then I think I'll probably be able to go to like some of these tour operators, but it's very difficult times at the moment because I had some live shows and things lined up, but it's so difficult with the COVID thing,
Yeah,
and so um, it's one of those things we've got to kind of work with and try and work around. So I think probably possibly my next step, because I used to travel an awful lot, and I'm planning hopefully next year to do a bit of traveling again. So I'm hoping to maybe do some live events or something, maybe get on some festivals. So because all of this was kind of unexpected, I wasn't expecting to put a new record out. I thought that's it, I can't write records anymore. But I seem to have made a comeback, which is
yeah.
which is kind of nice for me, and it's inspiring. It's made me quite excited in these very difficult times when people are so depressed and they're fed up with everything, aren't they? So I thought, this was something for me. It was quite exciting, and I'm even looking at the Bitches cover now, and I'm thinking, wow. I mean, I've got this really cool artwork guy called Ginger John, and I'm sure he'll tune in and listen to this. And he's got ginger hair. And anyway, so
I'd imagine that would have been pretty obvious.
Yeah. And he is such a good artist. I can say to him, look, John, I've got this really wacky idea, and he'll come back with a draft. He'll email back. I'll say to him, I think I should have 3 heads, and I'll just come up with really crazy things.
Yeah,
and then 20/20 vision, weird eyes, and everything. And like I said, you'd have to go and check out that 20/20 vision YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Definitely up your street, because you like all the predictions and ghosts and all that. That's linked in with.
I'm just into. Wow, even the prediction side of stuff is. It's so strange when you get people that are bang on.
Yeah.
And there's there's a really good documentary about a guy who was probably one of the greatest predictors I've ever seen. His name was Martin Armstrong.
Right.
The documentary is called The Forecaster. And basically what he did was from a young boy, he collected coins. So all he did, collected coins all throughout his life from different eras dating back to the Roman times.
Right.
And then over his years, what he did was made models and graphs and charts and literally worked out like when the coins were minted, they'd have less silver in. So there'd be war because they'd need fucking the silver for other stuff or whatever. So the standard coins would just be shit, like dog shit. Like he'd worked out these very specific things.
Yeah.
And then done it over a 2,000-year period and worked out a model and a graph. And the dude was around in the 80s by the time he got to where he fucking was. Yeah. And then what he basically done was turn that onto the stock market and become one of the best predictors of not only when the stocks are going to go up and down, but almost when wars were going to clash.
Wow.
Because he noticed that during, again, going back to these times where coins were getting minted shit, they'd have to move their assets. So like most companies now, when most countries go to war, a lot of assets gets moved out.
Yeah.
So he would notice and predict these things in advance. And not saying that it was ripping anything off, because he just predicted it based upon maybe 15, 20 years worth of hard fucking knowledge. So it's not like he cheated any system. He just learnt a system.
Yeah.
To the point where he made lots of money, had tons and tons of clients. was in terms of trillions as well, like trillions of pounds, not even billions,
Wow.
trillions.
What's his number? I'll give him a call.
Well, what's crazy is after several, there was tons of shaded stuff going on, but people wanted this model, this forecast that essentially, you could put some data into it and then it would churn out a result, and essentially predict what could happen.
Wow.
And he got arrested eventually in the end for what would have been one of the largest Ponzi schemes in America. But it was kind of a setup.
Right.
Some other people were doing some bullshit under his name, bang. But in terms of the documentary, they was mostly talking about the fact that they wanted this forecasting model because it can turn tides.
Right.
If you can just input this data and bang, you've got that result. Well, you can cheat, you can be 5 steps ahead. You know. And basically, he wouldn't give it up, so they fucking done him and whatever. And then he was in jail for X amount of years fighting it. I think at the minute he's missing. I think he's gone into hiding. He got released from jail after I think he spent like 20 years in jail, 15 years or something.
Do you think I'm going to go to jail for releasing pictures?
I'd hope not. But it's crazy. Like he's in hiding at the moment. But you talk about people that can predict stuff, and this guy legitimately built up. It's a fantastic documentary. It's because you just like, wow.
I'll have to check it out.
It's something that makes me think about looking back into ancient history myself.
Yeah.
Because when I watch these documentaries,
history is just so interesting, isn't it? And particularly ancient history.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is it's all written by the victor, and most of the victors, since we decided to work by the Christian clock, the year 0, has been the Romans, and most of the information's probably in the Vatican, and some people have got,
and probably a lot of stuff's hidden from us. So
a lot of it.
We're only told what the authorities want us to know.
Yeah, but
my
problem was like when I was in school, I was in a Christian school and I got taught about Egypt and stuff like that. But then now as an adult, I probably learned a bit more when I've learned a lot more lately, but I looked into it certainly more in my 20s, and I was like, man, what they taught me in school was wrong.
That's it. You start to work things out on your own, that actually you start forming your own opinions about certain things. That's what I was saying on my travels around, say, India and some pretty cool countries. I witnessed some really cool stuff, which I can only say was very strange and bizarre stuff that I saw. Some people call it religion, and other people might call it supernatural. I suppose in a way, religious stuff is kind of supernatural, and I certainly have seen some really bizarre stuff, really, and that's why I kind of thought I'd incorporate it all into this Wrath of the Dance Gods album. And I like I said, basically all my songs, I've experienced so many unusual things. I guess I'm lucky in a way that I can actually put it in. Some people write it down in their diary or might write a poem. Well, the song's kind of a poem, really, just to music.
What kind of weird shit have you seen?
I've seen you. No, I'm joking. I have definitely seen ghosts, and I'm very, very into ghosts, and actually something I want to get into soon.
Excuse me.
And I was planning to do it in the summer, but all this COVID stuff and that prevented it. I want to get into ghost hunts, and where I live, there are some haunted woods around in the area, and there's some very old buildings as well.
My advice: don't do them with tours.
No, it wouldn't be with a tour.
Yeah, they're rubbish.
I was actually going to put my own team together, so there was going to be some TikTokers, some YouTubers, but they're well-known ones.
I do a lot of urban exploring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do. I'm that kind of guy that goes underneath cities in the sewers.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, well, next time you're doing that, I'll come with you. We'll go and do a ghost hunt.
I mean, I used to go around loads of abandoned buildings, and I've had loads. I've spoke about some of the incidents on some previous shows, so I'm not going to get into it too much. But I've had some weird moments. But sorry, carry on.
Oh, I've had some really weird stuff happen to me, which probably you should invite me back on to talk about ghosts and UFOs.
Yeah. Well, even then,
I've got loads of stories.
I always invite people back on.
Well, my theory about something happened to me. I told you off air, I think anyway. I'm pretty sure I did, that I've almost died 3 times. One was from sepsis.
Yep.
One was from accidentally overdosing on medication, which was supposed to control my blood because of this heart condition I've got. And then I also had a stroke. Now, when I had a stroke, this was about 20 years ago, I was just basically overdoing it.
Was it warfarin that you were?
Yeah, I was on warfarin at the time, but not now. But so I overdosed on that and they almost killed me off. But when I had this stroke, I actually saw, and I've told loads of people about this. Now, I'm not religious at all, but I actually saw an angel. And it wasn't only me that saw the angel, it was actually one of my friends that was with me when I was having the stroke. Because if it was just me having the stroke and I saw the angel, I'd probably put it down to maybe
euphoria.
Essentially.
It could be
anything. So but the fact that somebody else was with me and actually saw the angel as well, made me think, oh, is there something to this? But I still, me personally, this is my own belief, I don't believe that angel is from heaven, but I think we do go into some other dimension after we pass away. We'll find out when we go, and I've almost been there 3 times already.
Well, I think that even now, the world we live in works on multiple dimensions. We can only see so much. We listen on certain frequencies.
Yeah.
There must be so much that we're completely unaware of.
Yeah. That's it. You see, we don't even know. There's
dogs have better senses than us.
Huh? What's that? What?
Dogs have better senses than us.
Well,
they've just got shit. They've got shitter brains. They can't make stuff, but their senses are shit hot.
Sometimes, I sometimes wonder if they see ghosts. I mean, my house was built in 1890, and I had to have it cleansed because there was a lot of, if you into all of this, which I am, I had lots of spirits roaming around in this place. So I had the place cleansed, and there's nothing in here now. But my cats, they used to look around as if they were looking at something walking past. So, but anyway, like I said, probably some of your listeners might think we're a bit wacky.
No,
there's me on my dark fruits, and there's you on your lager.
But this is the show. Most of it. I mean, what I like to do is occasionally it doesn't always get into the conspiracies, or it doesn't always. That's one of these rare moments where I'll do an interview and then it crops up and then it becomes an even larger interview. What I normally do is I'll interview, I'll get some stuff about the person, I'll promote whatever, and then I'll get some insight into them. I like to get. Don't forget
to promote my music.
Oh, believe me, I won't be. I need the files. That's all I need. Trust me, I don't forget shit when I'm on the ball. But I like to also get a bit of backstory about people. I like to know about what inspires them to do things. Because this is why I like to do long form interviews, because it gives people more of an insight into who you are. People can just draw off the music and then start fucking slinging fire, like you said. Earlier on, you had pushback after pushback.
Yeah.
But
that makes me more determined. By the way, if somebody says to me, "Do not do it," I'll say, "Right, I'm now doing it." If someone says this is the worst song you've ever written, like I've had that with the trolls on TikTok. There's loads of trolls on TikTok.
I bet.
Or this is the worst song you've ever written or I've ever heard. So then I'll reply back to them and I'll say, so why did you just promote it by writing that comment? Because as soon as they've written that comment, the algorithm picks up that there's activity, and then
I always see it, whether it's good feedback or bad feedback, still going to promote me.
Yeah, because if anybody whether you get thumbs down or thumbs up, it's interaction.
Yeah.
And so, and
that's what it is. Traction as well. Traction is the best word.
Exactly what it is. Yeah. So they're promoting when you get trolls. See, last year I had so many. It's strange because this year I was expecting lots of hate releasing a new record, but this one seems to be really well sort of received. But last year, when I released the new version of Electric Kama Sutra, there was so much hate, and it was around about the same time that all that 2020 Vision story was going on around me, and that was literally a viral story that went worldwide. It was really strange, and and I was getting a lot of hate and death threats and all kinds of stuff. So, and I remember I was on a live stream with a semi-famous TikToker. He invited me onto his show, who's a good friend of mine as well. And I started getting death threats from trolls, even live on that show, and it got very difficult to actually be on the show. Cut the show.
I've not had anything like that yet. Some part of me wants it to happen just so I can get it out of the way.
What, death threats?
No, not necessarily death threats, but it's always going to come. There's always going to be. Yeah. I mean, most of my show, I try to.
You'll probably get some now that I've been on your show.
That's cool. I mean, for me, I'm good. I welcome them. It makes no difference. I but my Peaky Blinders hat on. You know,
I like it.
I'm good. That should say enough, people. No, I'm joking. But no, like, you know, most of it, I've not had a negative show yet. Everything's always been positive. Right. But I think there should be some negative always in there, because nothing can ever be 100% positive. Someone's always going to take something away.
It spices things up, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, it does. It does. Yeah. I've just not really. I'm waiting for some shit. Let's put it that way. And to be honest, I actually want some. And if I do get a bunch of trolls eventually, I'd like them to just come on the show. I don't give a fuck. They can come on. They can talk to me face to face. I
think there's more trolls on TikTok than anywhere else. So,
yeah.
But my trolls seem to have died off quite a lot, because
they've moved on.
Well, everything they say about me, if they say negative things about me, I can usually disprove them. Like, for example, if they say, "Oh, you're not going to release a record," or that won't make any sales. Like the other week, for example, a troll came along and he said, you've only got 34 monthly listeners. Well, that was when he looked. Good. No, but that's when he looked. That's when he looked. But I'll tell you now, I'm on my page now, and I've got 9,106 monthly listeners as we speak. So,
but even then, in terms of numbers, there's some people out there that just start, and there's some people that even on Facebook that I mean, I don't really look at numbers too much. I look occasionally, but I couldn't really give a fucking toss.
No,
but
well, I mean, I used to worry about all this. You know, how many likes are you getting? And how many views and all that. I used to worry about that all the time, and then I thought, you know what? Don't worry about it, because if people want to watch it, they're going to come and watch it. They might not watch it when it first comes out. They might come and watch it 6 weeks later.
Well, I know when it works for me is when people reach out to me and go, "Hey, man," and especially again, not when I've posted as well. There's moments where I've not posted on certain sites for a while, or on pages, and they're like, "Hey, I've just listened to your show. I'd love to come on." And they're the moments to me that mean something, because I'm like, fuck, you took your time.
Yeah, well, I couldn't wait to get on. And when we were talking off air, even yesterday, I could tell there was like a rapport there straight away between the two of us.
Yeah, no, there is. It's because we're both
there is,
and we're both into the same stuff.
I might invite you onto my YouTube show, because that's another thing I do.
You should, absolutely. I mean, I go back and forth. I will do a minor plug. I'm doing a live show with one of my fucking friends. Shout out to TJ Gleason from TJ TV. I'm doing a live show with him.
Nice.
UK time, Saturday, 5 a.m. Unfortunately for me. Eastern Standard, 12 p.m. He got the better raw end of that deal this time. Normally, if I was doing Eastern Standard, I'd work at 12 p.m. and not get my ass up at 5 in the morning.
Yeah,
to do a show.
Well, I'm always up early in the morning, but I wouldn't want to do an interview.
Yeah, well, even then, it's
But sometimes you have to, because I did.
It's challenging. It's good. It's good as well.
Well, I did it was years ago. I did a radio interview. I can't even remember what state it was in the US, but it was like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. I was being interviewed, and I thought, oh my God, is anyone going to listen to this? But then I realised, of course, all the listeners of that, it was WOWL-FM. And we actually I got permission to release that interview as well. So it's actually on Spotify and Apple. It was years ago. I did it, I think it was when I was first starting out. So I probably sound a bit amateurish in comparison.
But that's just growing, isn't it? I mean, you have to look back on some of your stuff. Man, Jesus.
You know, that's what I actually like. That's what I like about some of my catalogue, even, because some of it, I was looking at some of it the other day, and I was thinking, oh my God, that's really cheesy and embarrassing, that song. And then I thought, should I get it taken down? And then I thought, no, if people were streaming it, that's the strange thing. They're actually streaming it because they probably are coming across, you know, tracks like Bitches and Electric Kama Sutra, and then they're looking at my old catalogue. And but like I said, some of it is a bit cheesy. I mean, I look at some of my early TikToks, because when I joined TikTok, I honestly didn't have a clue what I was going to do.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I don't know now. I haven't got a fucking clue.
My pet tortoises were in my videos, and I now look at those videos and I think, oh my God. But you know, some of my followers, they look at those videos now, they'll comment on them, and they'll say, "This is classic Gaz."
Wow, that's
so
cool.
I was just doing really big stuff. I used to do food reviews and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's bad.
Well,
that's cool, man. Classic Gaz. That's sick. I like that.
I've kind of grown out of some of the content I used to do on TikTok and YouTube. I was even looking back at some of my old YouTube videos the other day, and I feel as if I make better videos now. But sometimes I look back at some of the earlier videos and I think, actually, I'm still doing the same type of content, but just in a different way.
Just the production value is better.
Yeah, production.
You know your shit. That's another
reason. Like
reason.
thumbnails and things like that for YouTube now. I make sure that they look really, really good and stand out. And well, just generally stuff. And what I've noticed also is people, they don't like. I used to spend hours editing and making things look really polished.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine for a pop video, but for a vlog, people don't want to see that, and that's what I learned. Don't start over editing or making it look professional, because people are watching that vlog because they want to see the rawness.
The only thing I do, and I should have done it during this one, and this is the other thing I want to do in terms of production value, is it's one thing, like when I first started doing things, I started stuff on VR.
Right.
There's very few videos of that because I barely knew what I was doing. I've got some, but I think I actually deleted a couple because I was like, I should have fucking kept them, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it was just, I just deleted them. And then I started off on Anchor, and then I got like 30 shows in, and then I was like, man, why haven't I fucking put these on YouTube? And then I had the long, lengthy process of uploading fucking 30 videos to YouTube, and then.
But that's what you've got to do. You've got to get.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Platforms. You've got to get everything on different platforms.
It takes a long time. But during all this time, I was like, I made a really shit overlay, and well, it's not shit. It was a picture I took. Well, it's a picture that I'd taken when I was out urban exploring, and I've just souped it up a bit, just because no one wants to see some grey background.
Right.
But I'm fingers crossed, hoping that when I come back to when again, I'm time off. I keep saying that, but I'm gonna put about fucking, I don't know, a good 70 hours into production videos on top of what I know. And I'm also going to do a bit more spending. But I'm hoping to then have it, rather than do an overlay, so it just goes person to person,
Right.
So, and that's very tricky. I mean, it'll have to be done post. You can't do it midway through unless you can do some sort of wizardry camera switching shit.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask you about. I was just going to ask you about the video side of things, because I know this is being podcasted, but of course you are videoing this as well.
Yeah.
Would you be able to give me the video? Because I'll do is
absolutely.
I'll put a clip on YouTube and TikTok, and I'll make it into
absolutely.
Absolutely.
There. Some people, and this is, I'm going to give a shout out to the dickheads of Facebook who not only charge people for services, they're like, hey, you want to come on my show? That'll cost you. What the fuck? Get out of town. And even then, like, I'm not paying no one to come on my show. It's not going to happen. You want to come on my show? That's great, and I'll promote the shit out of you for as long as I can.
Yeah,
you know, or up until 9 times out of 10, some people just don't bother doing it back, or they just, I mean, I can appreciate some people have their own lives, but when you spend, a couple of months,
I'm heavily promotion.
Yeah, no, me too. So there's just certain people that just don't, and you go, well, what was the point?
Yeah. Well, I definitely will.
Yeah, well, I know you're on the ball.
Yeah. Well, you have to be these days. I mean, I said, this record, Bitches, took me 10 minutes to write, but then about 6 months
to produce.
4 months pre-promotion and 6 months of backwards and forwards tweaking stuff in the studio. Does that sound right? Does that sound right? The guitar sound changed so many times. I actually personally preferred the original guitar sound. So what I do is, if I'm in the studio recording stuff, I'll keep making little clips, and it'll end up on YouTube or TikTok or somewhere.
Yeah.
So quite often, even actually the original Bitches, the raw version of it, is actually quite a good track, and I said to my music producer we should have released that as well,
like an unplugged kind of style.
Yeah, well, it sounds quite different, and so that might happen in the future. It all depends on, I know Bitches on Spotify, I think in about the first hour it got something like almost 10,000 streams in the first hour. It was crazy. So but like I said, the counter on Spotify seems to have been changed, so it's running very slow now.
It's so, I mean, analytics, unless you're paying for a legitimate provider like Libsyn, I think they're called Libsyn. I mean, they're a podcasting website mostly, but they get very good analytics. They get stuff to the T. Unless you go with someone very, very professional and you're paying what would probably be about 40 quid a month.
Yeah.
Preposterous amounts, realistically. It's tricky to get your complete stats. It's so hard.
When I first started out in the music industry, and I was releasing vinyl, because I've been releasing records for years, but like I said, I haven't released a record or a brand new song in 15 years, so it's a bit strange, but it's exciting as well. And but the technology that we've got now, we've got so many opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know in a lot of ways digital platforms, digital formats kind of killed off the music industry, but it also created a new type of music industry where people like myself could, technically speaking, become, it's quite possible, a multi-millionaire from releasing a record.
Well, looking back even then to like when I was watching the Elvis documentary, there was talking about the first guy that Elvis went with was, and when they had to do it, they had to drive fucking state to state,
Yeah, well, I actually recorded at that studio where the studio you're talking about, I actually recorded that. That was Sun Studios.
Memphis.
And I actually recorded with the Jordanaires, which was Elvis Presley's backing vocalist.
Yeah, the Jordanaires.
And I recorded I don't really do cover versions, but I did I can't even remember what it was now, but I never released it because I thought I don't want to be known as an Elvis impersonator.
Yeah, I know. So, that's the other thing. I mean,
I made a video out of it though, to show that I'd been to Memphis. I went to Elvis's home, Graceland.
Yeah.
And like I told you, I was friends with Donna Presley.
One thing I didn't realise was how many. I mean, when I was watching it, I mean, again, they was talking about all of the Hollywood stuff, but one thing I didn't realize is how many fucking tracks that he did. And I think it was
there's
something
still
like
tracks coming out now.
760 something, and it's
yeah,
like,
there's probably loads. There's loads of tracks that are being
how
discovered
can you
now.
have 700? And I think the number was 768, and that's what the number was mentioned. And this documentary is old as fuck. It's not exactly new.
No.
So, and I was like 700, and it was in the back credits at the end. It was like Elvis Presley did something ridiculous amount of tour dates in the thousands.
Do you know why they were so that these artists? The reason why they were successful is because, number one, they were grafters. They were prepared to sit in a studio, and it wasn't so much about the production values. Although these guys, these musicians, and that were working around Elvis, they were really good as well. Yeah,
that was something else I learned. The fact that they had to. This was something I learned about music.
They would only practice once or twice, and then they go for a recording.
Well, not even that. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Well, even some of those recordings, the rough edits, the demos, and that, they've ended up on the market as well. And people buy them, they sell millions of copies. So, so I think sometimes it isn't always about that you've got to have. I mean, I'm very fussy about what I put out. I never used to be. If you listen to my earlier tracks, because I was learning and I didn't really know what I was doing.
That's the evolution of you, isn't it? You know, that's the thing.
Yeah. And what I'm finding now is, you know, I'm putting these new tracks out, but a lot of people are going then streaming my old stuff as well. And I'm thinking, no, please don't listen to that. And then, but then I was thinking,
classic Gaz.
Yeah, then I'm thinking, Gaz, what that guy said. So I thought, no, actually, I'm okay about it, and I'm not going to have it all taken down. And I'm sure there's some very embarrassing things. I mean, I used to do videos with my pets, and I'm a big fish keeper as well. Because really, I'll be honest with you, when I first started out, I didn't really know what to do. I had a great idea for the very first vlog that I did, and then everything after that, I kind of thought, what am I going to do? Because I want this to be a daily show. And I soon found trying to do a daily YouTube show vlogging
about fish
very difficult unless you're going to have a specific subject. Like I've got two friends that they're from Brighton, but they ended up doing travel vlogs. They just quit their jobs and they went for it. They started traveling around.
Cutting loose, that is.
Yeah, well, at one point they ended up in the Philippines, and that's where they live now. But they're from Brighton. They've just come back here now. They've just been able to come back after 2 years because of all the lockdowns and stuff.
Yeah. I've got friends in Brighton.
Literally, all they didn't know what they were doing. They were just walking around talking to the camera. But now they've developed their craft so well that they can literally, even if they're in a lockdown, they can make a lockdown video really interesting. If they're laying on their bed, they'll just be talking to the camera, and they can get hundreds of thousands of views. And what I discovered is a lot of people like that kind of stuff. So now I'm thinking of starting to do more vlog videos where I show more of my life and my thoughts and stuff like that, and see if people are interested in that.
You should, because this is the reason why I do my show. I mean, when I first started, I did some single shows, and again, just going back about 10 minutes maybe. There was some of that, again, it was talking about stuff that was sort of embarrassing, and and even then I found, which was strange, that some of my single shows, I don't want to look back and listen. I'm like, I didn't even want to really put them up. I'm like, it's just me talking. I'm like,
classic Tim.
Yeah, and I was like, but they keep getting the most weird views.
Yeah,
like it doesn't make sense. I'm like, why is that the case?
That's the thing. That's what I was trying to say. It's like I haven't made a TikTok video in about a week, which I used to do 3 or 5 daily when I first started. But actually, if I'm honest with you, I kind of got a bit fed up with that.
Yeah,
but that was in lockdown.
It's a grind. It's a grind as well.
Yeah, you're always trying to come up with ideas, and you're just forcing it, and that's what I thought. So, and really, what I wanted to do is get back into the things that I really enjoy, which is things like music and just being in front of the camera. I remember when I was 10, I used to stand in the playground at school, away from all the other kids, and I used to daydream, wondering. It's going to sound crazy. I used to daydream that I'm going to be a multi-millionaire and I'm going to be in music. I know that sounds a bit.
It's not though.
Arrogant.
But
it's what I used to do. I was a 10-year-old kid. I wanted to grab attention, and I'm still doing that now. Almost 52. I know I don't look it, but
you don't.
I thought a lot of people said you're going to get a lot of hate from releasing. You're a 52-year-old man coming up for 52, and you're going to release this record called Bitches, which is a dance track, and you're going to get a lot of hate for it. And I said, oh, good.
50 is the new 30. There's some people out there that are just in their prime, man. It's
who cares whether you're 52, 72?
I'm a huge fan of again, I watch a lot of podcasts. One of my favorite ones, I shout it out a lot just because it is so fucking good. I'm a big fan of comedy. It's called Kill Tony. It's on YouTube. I recommend it to a lot of people just because it's a good way. I mean, I wake up, it's on Monday nights in America. So when I wake up on Tuesday morning, it's there for me to watch and wake up, and it's a very positive way to wake up. Now, there was a comedian on there. What it basically is Tony Hinchcliffe is a comedian. He has his almost like, do you know, like you get like X Factor and shit like that, and there's a panel.
Yeah.
You know, there's his audio technician, Brian Redban, also one of the best fucking audio wizards in the game. And then they'll have some sort of other comedians on. So there'll be Brian Redban, Tony Hinchcliffe, and then they'll have a comedian on. Whoever is relevant, doesn't matter. You know, it can be anybody. And then what happens is they'll have a hat, and then they'll pull a name out. And then that comedian, they'll pull a name out, and a comedian comes on and does 60 seconds. And then they'll have an interview. And there's a person on there that has been on there twice, 2 weeks running. I think there was actually 2 weeks ago, and then just this week gone.
Right.
Called Miss Amy O. And she is 61 years of age. And she was one of the wildest comedians on the stage, which shows age doesn't mean shit.
No, it really doesn't
mean nothing. She was wild.
But that's why I kind of like TikTok in a way, because there's a lot of people think TikTok's for young people, and that's what I used to think, and it actually isn't. It's for anyone over the age of 13, and you'll be surprised how many people that are in my age group that are becoming TikTok stars. And a lot of people have said, well, look, Gaz, you've got like, I don't know what it is, 141,000 followers at the moment.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Well, I built that up pretty quickly as well. It started off a bit slow, like I had like a handful, and then I got to 10,000, and then I became friends with this semi-famous TikToker, and we did a video together, a collab, and then I got another 10,000 followers in a day, and then after that, it kind of just kept on growing, and like I said, I've kind of slowed down on the amount of videos I put out now, and I'm kind of more focusing on music, but I do throw some, you know, my stupid humor in.
Yeah.
Luckily, you haven't had too much of today.
No.
But I have got some crazy humor sometimes. And but for me, all these platforms and technologies that we've got now, there's so many opportunities. And I kind of think back to that kid that I was when I was 10 years of age, standing in the playground. And if I had known all the things that I know now, I would have been a TikToker at the age of 10.
Yeah.
That's because it's a great platform to promote on. And even though it's changing all the time and it's getting more competitive on there now, like I said, my distributor's running an advert at the moment on TikTok for the record. And because you need that now, because there's so many people out there trying to become famous. Now, have you ever heard of Ollie London?
Famous. Slightly rings a bell.
Well, famous for trying to look like a famous BTS singer from.
Oh, okay, yeah. Recently came up in the news. Yeah.
Okay,
I know
viral,
you mean.
viral story. Well,
that's what it rings about. Yeah.
I met Ollie a few weeks back. And actually, I think I realised you had a friend of mine on, Jessica James, on your show.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
A few weeks back. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know, but Jessica and I are friends.
No, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't think to realise that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And actually, I was.
Brilliant guest. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, she's
absolutely
fab.
brilliant guest. She's a fucking fantastic person.
Yeah.
We had a
I was
great
chatting to her
fucking
this
laugh.
morning
We had
online.
a great laugh. I haven't messaged her in a while, due to the fact I spent several days being a bit ill. But I am gonna again. We are in very close contact with very, very good friend.
Yeah.
Well, I
was supposed to be at her launch party tonight, but I've been a bit really busy, but also a bit down in the dumps. So I'm glad I'm doing this radio, this podcast now, because it sort of got me perked up a little bit. But I was supposed to be at Jessica's launch do tonight for her new album, and but anyway, she said don't worry about it. I understand, and we'll meet up for lunch or something in a week's time.
Super great person.
But we're hoping to do a record together as well, so that could be interesting.
That'd be good. That would be good.
Yeah, we've been in talks about it for a very long time. So
yeah,
but she's always busy and I'm always busy. So it's been
she came on the show. She's gonna come on again. There was a few mic issues her end. I'm gonna get somebody else on as well. It's another friend of hers, Adam.
Right.
Shout out to him. He does a lot of promoting for her. I'm sure you probably know who it is. I can't remember his last name. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, I can be a bit bad. I have to admit I don't know Adam. No. But what I was trying to say is, Jessica and I, we were in the studio and we met Ollie, and so we did a TikTok with him the other week. That was quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on TikTok. Right? Do you want to just take a brief little 5-minute intermission? Because I think that this conversation can happily continue.
Yeah, I hope that your followers don't get bored. We've been on for 2 hours already.
Oh, no, these are long-form conversations. By the way, for those listeners out there, I took a brief intermission. My computer decided it was full, completely full, for whatever reason. So I had to sort that out midway through, whilst also taking a piss. So again, we're back here with Gaz Reynolds. Again, we spoke about a lot of stuff. We've covered a lot.
We have.
We'll get you back on to talk about the supernatural and all that kind of stuff, but we're going to keep off that topic for another show.
Yeah, I'm keen to come on and talk about that.
Yeah, that'll be it. Again, this was a very long form interview. The problem is we get straight into that, and I'll be sitting there talking for another 3 or 4 hours, and the record might be broken, just based on that alone. Obviously, you spoke about your next steps and what the plan is. There's been a lot of ground covered. Have you ever? Yeah. I mean, again, you're breaking into like the Japanese market. You're breaking into tons of different places.
That's pretty cool.
You also spoke about all the new tracks and everything that's coming out, the inspirations. Have you ever thought about doing some sort of comedy-esque style music? Because you said you got some sort of humor to yourself, and that's something else that's on the rise in a way.
I wouldn't like to do a comedy or jokey type record, but I do put my kind of strange humour into my songs anyway, like calling this record "Bitches," for example. So that's my kind of.
In fact, I probably worded that incorrect. There's sort of jokey bullshit artists. But then there's also like a craft, like what you said yourself, where you put your own sort of humor into it. So.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
It's a very
like
tricky format. I'm not saying to make sort of like bullshit joke songs.
It wouldn't be my kind of thing anyway. I wouldn't really want to get into that. I like I really like doing dance music more than anything, but I want all of my records now to sound very different, but that when you listen to them, you can still tell that they're my records, if that makes sense. Which is kind of risky in a way, because a lot of successful artists, all their records sound the same, don't they?
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't want that to happen. It's like they say, stay within your niche, and I'm not that kind of person.
It's like it's keeping it down the same vein as well. You know what I mean? And some artists, they evolve with the times. Some of them do change. I mean, one of my favorite artists is Coldplay.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Coldplay when they first come out in comparison to now, not that it's not good, but it's completely different. And there's
now they're getting a bit slated for going a bit too commercial.
It doesn't even seem like Coldplay anymore. You know.
No, that's what a lot of people are saying. Yeah.
There's a few like that. Even like a lot of old bands, like the Gorillaz. The Gorillaz are the same. It's their first album, and I listened to it as well. I listened the other week to one of their B-side albums, and it was fantastic. I was like, holy shit. I didn't even know it existed as well. I didn't even know it was there, and I was like, wow, this is so good. It was a great little album.
One of my big influences is Duran Duran, and I love them. And you know, ever since I was a kid, I followed them, and I bought all their records, and they're still going now. They've got a new album out. It's just as well. Actually, if I'm honest with you, this album's probably not their best that they've got out at the moment, but they're still very good songwriters in my view. But for a lot of younger people, they probably wouldn't be interested in Duran Duran. But then saying that, there are a lot of young people that are following them as well. And that's the great thing about these social media platforms, is that there's so many, probably billions of people on them, that even if you just get 1% of the market, you've probably still got quite a big fan base.
Like one of the things that I didn't realise, I'm a big fan of Boney M. Big fan. And I didn't realise how much of their stuff is sampled. I think they're probably one of the most sampled fucking art bands of all time. I think that so much stuff.
Yeah.
There's been many covers of songs. But even then, there's like little backing bits you can pick up from certain tracks, and you go, "Holy shit!" Like, I heard this. You heard this in this song.
Yeah.
And you don't realise up until you go back and listen to a lot of old songs how much stuff is sampled, and it's.
Samples seem to be coming back big time at the moment, and it's regarded as being quite a skill in itself. But the problem with sampling these days is you need to get everything cleared, because you could be infringing on copyrights, and you don't want to have suddenly a big hit, and then suddenly you've got this sample on there, and it's you're being sued. You know. Whereas back in the day when samplers first came out, because I used to do quite a lot of sampling, I don't really use
DJs, isn't it, in a way?
much samples at the moment. But you could have a DJ mix of one of my tracks or something, and you could have loads of samples in it and stuff. But sometimes you can overdo it. But the thing is, back in the day when I was sampling, I used to have this little portable sampler, and I used to sample everything and then bang down the tune and stick these samples over the top. And that was okay. You could get away with sampling even from other records, and nobody would say anything. But now, you know, you've literally got to get. Actually, I was listening to an interview with Saint Heinz. Oh, I can't even say the name. Saint Heinz.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who I'm talking about. Saint Heinzin.
Yeah.
You know, back from the 80s, they've around for about 40 years. I've said that wrong, probably. It's the Dark Fruits. But yeah, they've got a new album out, which is more kind of music based rather than song based. Actually, I didn't like it because I liked the old poppy records, but they were talking about samples. Yeah, more instrumental stuff. And,
it's because
well, it's not. It usually doesn't go down too well.
One of your favourite songs, and you listen to an instrumental version of it, you're like, oh. There's no words. It really diminishes the track.
You're missing the vocals
because there's no emotion into the song.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, I actually said to my music producer, we should have put out an instrumental version of Bitches, or at least a dubby type version, and that might still. It might still happen because, like I said, one one of my artists from my record label called Somiak, who's a really cool producer in his own right, but he's a very good artist. He's often remixed some of my songs, but the clip he sent me of his remix of Bitches, which I think will be finished on the weekend, and then released. It's so good. It kind of equals the original version, if that makes sense, but in a different way, because I don't think anything's gonna outdo my producer Nick's version, except this guy who's gone in a completely different direction with it. So you can't compare the two mixes because they're both
I mean,
almost like separate songs.
Like I was saying at the start of the show, there's a lot of I'd like to hear a lot more electric guitar in there. Some sort of heavy distorted guitar and.
Yeah, well, it's something. Yeah, it's something I want to do in more tracks, and also I've got plans to work with a violinist as well. Yeah, I thought it'd be quite interesting to have a violinist in track, and I'm also working with these hip hop street dancers for a video as well. So I'm working on some ideas with them at the moment. Yeah, that's going to be really cool. They're very, very good dancers, and it might be that I'm not even in the video. That's one idea, or even that I'm just like a very small role in the video, or I might be in the whole video. I haven't quite come up with exactly what's going to happen yet. But the one that I'm really excited about is this Japanese anime type cartoon.
Akira the Don. He's literally invented a genre of music called meaning wave.
Oh yeah.
And what he does is he gets talks, lectures, stuff like that from very academic people, or some are podcasters and comedians. And then he puts a lot of music behind it, but it's very, very well crafted. And most of his videos are all sort of anime-esque style, and I love it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of anime. I've started, my partner watches a lot, and lately, I'll admit, I've watched a bit more. For the listeners out there, and I've sat there slandering anime in terms of what I've avoided to watch. I've tried to avoid certain things. I've almost gone down that lane. It is very good. I love that. It's so many.
But some of it's really good. I mean, I've only sort of kind of discovered it really.
Because
yeah,
there's a good rapport. We think sort of the certain things. We're into these weird things. And if you've got Netflix, there's some very, very good animes on there. One of them is Castlevania. It's got 4 seasons. They're like four episodes each. It's something that I recently watched, and I'll check it out. Anime. I like it to be worth the watch. I don't like it to be shit. I want it to be as best as you can get it to almost realism. Because that, in terms of frame, and the reason I appreciate it that way is because of the work and craft that goes into it. Huge fan of most animations. I love Rick and Morty. I love fucking Invincible is another good one. That's on Amazon Prime. Amazing, very amazing. But what people don't realize is
I think I saw that the other day actually.
Work goes into a singular scene, and it's a lot of craft. And
a lot of work. Because anything to do with animation is gonna it's really time consuming.
And it was amazing. It was a great story. It was somewhat compelling in a way. Another good one was called Blood of Zeus, which, I mean, to begin with, I was a bit like, this is a slow burn up, but it was another fantastic.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
I'm not sure whether, because you got all these Greek fucking tales and legends and myths, and at the start it said, there's X amount of these tales, and this was one of them that didn't get told. So I don't know if that was true or not. I've not looked into it, but it seemed pretty legit. It was about the Titans, and there was a lot of very good scenes. Yeah, it was very good. It was about the Titans and the Giants. And then
Yeah, that'll be
essentially,
interesting. Yeah,
Zeus had
cool
a
stuff.
bastard son with a mortal, and then it was very, very good. There's been quite a few really good animations that I've watched lately, so I'd like to recommend those. I always like to, again, towards the end of my show, I like to dish out a couple of recommendations and maybe always
Right,
get a
I'll
few,
check them
because I
out,
always like to
definitely.
watch new stuff. I'm always into new music.
Actually, I can recommend some really cool music.
That's brilliant. That was really funny. You caught me midway
Yeah,
through a sip.
Gaz Reynolds, Bitches.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify
You
now.
caught me midway through a sip. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Almost got me.
I thought I'd get that. You almost
There's
choked
been
on your
one
beer.
moment where I've spat my drink everywhere. It wasn't. Luckily, it wasn't on the show. Luckily, well, it was actually when I was watching an episode of Kill Tony. It was very, very wild. It's one of the things that I do recommend to anybody, just because it's a very good way to start your day. Yeah, I mean, the problem is I watch a lot of stuff. Occasionally like to recommend.
I've certainly got a lot of new things to check out.
I recommend a lot of stuff because I'm into everything.
Yeah, do you know, I used to read a lot, but I think social media probably makes you a bit kind of lazy in a way, because I've stopped reading completely. Everything I do, well, I do read obviously, but I read online. I don't read books. So I used to have loads of books, paperbacks I used to really enjoy. I don't know why. Yeah, well, but I haven't. Well, I used to like all this things like when I was a kid. I used to like reading Secret Seven and Famous Five. Yeah, a lot of Stephen
like
King.
The Railway Children.
Yeah.
Shit like that. The Railway Children's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I did. Yeah. But now I don't read anything at all. And strangely enough, one of my old girlfriends from years ago, when I actually first created my very first band, she was the singer, because I didn't feel confident enough to sing, and it turned well. She ended up being our probably most famous female poet or export to America. Her name's Helen Ivory, and so yeah, it was interesting. That's kind of like where I started even getting lyrical ideas from, was from her, because she was very good at writing lyrics, and some of those early songs have sort of inspired me to write, because I was listening to some of them the other day, and I started writing some new tracks based on those tracks, if that makes sense.
I've got some tragic songs.
So I sort of went back in time and started looking at my early teen days when I was writing.
Around, but I've read some of it. I'm still writing lyrics into my early 20s, but I gave up for a bit.
Right.
I tried to do my dab hand at some real writing, but I don't really bother with that, because I took too much effort. I had to get into the right frame of mind as well. It was ridiculous.
Well, I think for me now, what I want to do, probably this is something to do with my age. Anything I put out now, I want it to be something that I could be proud of in 10 or 20 years' time. So I can look back at it, providing I'm still alive in 10 or 20 years' time, and look back at it and say, wow, that is a good song, or wow, I'm proud of that.
What kind of stuff do you take? Vitamin D? Got some K?
Well, I do in the morning,
Got some cool.
But there's vitamin D, there's multivitamins.
Resveratrol.
I can't remember if I've got vitamin K, but it's probably multivitamins even.
In fact,
I've heard of it.
Pretty sure. Excuse me. I'm pretty sure resveratrol would be very good for you. Resveratrol is a sort of derivative of red wine. It's basically like a high formatted, but no, you're not getting pissed. And obviously, red wine is very, very good for your heart.
Really?
And resveratrol is basically like a red wine, a compound of red wine. It's the main thing that is good for your heart in a tablet form. I'm pretty sure that'd do you some good.
Mm.
I wouldn't take my full advice. I'd look into it yourself as well. But it's something, again, I've got bucket loads of supplements. Right. I take a bunch of stuff.
Oh.
It's probably why I've drunk. It's probably why I've drunk. I can drink 10 cans and not be drunk. And smoke the world and still keep consistency.
That's why you've got so much energy.
They really do. I take tons of stuff.
Probably.
It's good for you.
Probably.
Yeah, it's all good for your immune system. I think you should be healthy. I also drink a lot of water.
The vitamins are soaking everything up.
You know, I don't just keep myself in shit shape. But nah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've started.
Yeah.
I used to be. I used to be really good at keeping in shape, and then when I had all my health issues, then I kind of gave up. But I think I'm going to start trying to get back into that soon.
My whole
I'm
family,
very out
apart
of
from me,
shape.
were great runners. I can't because I was born with a weird foot disability. I can't run. I can run, but I can't do long distance. And she was saying the other day that and it was a stupid purchase, to be honest. She said she bought a treadmill. And I was like, I don't think you should have just bought a treadmill. And again, she used to run a lot of her life. And I did say that you should probably just go on to a park, you know, because if you've got it in your home, you're not really going to commit to it. Whereas if you go outside and just do a bit of running on some grass, again, you know, you're breathing in your home oxygen, which is crap. It's not great air. You know what I'm saying? It's
then you're also getting all fresh air as well, aren't you?
I mean, I don't smoke indoors. I never do that. Again, I don't smoke around children.
No.
But some people do, and I know that some people smoke indoors and that would run on treadmills and cycle. And I'm like, man, you're not doing yourself any favors in the long run. You know, I'll smoke in one singular spot, and everything else gets left in there. I don't work out in there. It'd be nuts. I haven't got the space for a start.
Yeah.
But one thing I do say to people that is just get breaking slowly. And one thing that's definitely good for men is just bodybuilding. Doesn't matter what your age is, you can get into it.
Yeah. Well, I used to do weights. Yeah, I used to do the whole thing. I used to do 7 hours a day at the gym every day, 7 hours. Bit over the top. It was a bit over the top, and but now I do no exercise at all, and so I'm putting on the pounds. But if I'm honest with you, the form of exercise that I prefer the most is cycling and walking.
They just get up and they just.
Yeah, I love cycling, and that's something I want to get back into. Is cycling. Yeah, but once you do get moving, then and you know certainly all my early songs I used to go out for a walk, and then in St Albans that was my inspirational. Oh, did you? Well, I love St Albans, and it's fairly close to where I live, and I'm planning to actually film up there soon, but I used to write songs there all the time. I used to walk around, then sit down, write some songs, then walk around again, sit down again, write some songs, and you know.
And they got bought over, I think, by Asda or somebody like that, and we had to re-kit the shops, so we'd go in, deck them out, turn it into a brand new shop. And I think that's when I was in St Albans. Beautiful place. Very beautiful place.
Right.
Yeah. It's I think I was only there. Oh yeah, that's why I love it. And to be honest,
well, I love it. It's one of my favourite cities in the world.
When I was there, I was working nights,
strange.
14-hour days.
Strange hour. It's probably because of the ancient Roman
I'm working, 4
history.
off. Well,
yeah.
I say that it wasn't because we were working over because there was a deadline. I think we was there for 6 days, but unfortunately, due to how tired we didn't get to see much. I was with one of my great friends. Shout out to fucking Mick. Many great stories with this guy. Yeah, and I think we only got like a day and a half to wander around just because everything was carnage. I was doing the health and safety at this point, so I was pretty fucking bogged up with stuff. It was very, very fun though. I'd love to go back just to actually take in the
wow.
It's just the fucking architecture alone. It is a very beautiful city. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful city, and the cathedral there is amazing. In fact, that's where when I started up doing YouTube vlogs, the second one was actually filmed. A lot of it was filmed inside the cathedral, and the whole video looked amazing. So my first two vlogs, I'm very proud of even now, because the first one was filmed in London, the second one was filmed in St Albans, two of my favourite cities. And then I kind of got a bit kind of stuck as to where to go with it, and so some of my earlier vlogs were all over the place.
Yeah.
But now
Oh,
I feel as if I don't put myself under any schedule anymore. I just put them out, put videos out when I feel like putting them out, and even if they get less views because of that, because algorithms like frequent and regular. Yeah, I've had all that as well, shadow banning on TikTok and YouTube. I mean, my YouTube channel was so heavily shadow banned at one
works.
time,
I mean, no one
I
really
couldn't even
knows
get
how it
more than
works.
about 3 likes on a video. And yet I never put anything offensive out or anything like that. It was just that's how the algorithm kind of sometimes nobody understands really how it works. But there's these TikTokers. I look at them sometimes, and they've got like 100 million
impossible, to be honest.
followers, and I think there's no way that all of those are real followers. There's no. How can somebody get 100 million followers? No, I don't believe it. And then I look at their videos. I see the video's got like 100,000 views, and it's got 10,000 likes, and I'm thinking,
even in terms of Spotify,
so they're the real views and likes, and the rest of them are all
on the planet right now.
fake people that have, fake
This is
accounts.
what I'm saying. I mean, he's got a huge mass of followers for good and bad reasons.
Yeah,
I think that Well, I don't necessarily know how that works, because I know that he's got the signed deal with Spotify. I don't know.
well,
I mean, obviously that's up to.
I'm pretty sure he's on TikTok as well, because I'm sure I checked out one of his videos months back.
Sort of co-host, or young Jamie, one of the greatest fucking people to pull up data in a singular second. He is a legitimate wizard. I'd imagine. I think he briefly mentioned it on the show at one point about getting onto TikTok, and because it's a big platform, very, very big. Yeah, that's it, but everything is, isn't it? That's the thing. Yeah.
It's a big platform, but it's saturated now. That's the problem. It's everything is, and that's the problem, because it's like, if I'm really honest with you, I prefer making YouTube videos, but to get really, really decent views on YouTube videos these days is really hard. You have to have some kind of marketing campaign around your video. Yeah. Yes, and that's why. Yeah, and that's why negative videos, for example, on TikTok they're so popular, because a lot of people are haters basically, and they like a lot of negativity, and so that's why. And I don't understand that culture, but among young people, it's a big thing, be as negative as you possibly can, and it sort of spreads over onto video. So I've got a friend who plays into that, and he does some quite in your face type videos. They're literally 5 seconds long, but a lot of his videos can end up having 6 million views on them, but it's not. Yeah. Well, he'll come out with there's 3 things that you should never have on your pizza.
Two things you should
Goes
never have on a
quiet
pizza,
for a
not
split
3.
second, then he'll say your brother's bollocks, and that's it. 6.2 million views he got on that last week.
That's a legitimately good joke, though. I was waiting for some
It's funny,
then,
but
that's a really good joke.
and then he did another one.
Your brother's
There was another one. There was another one he came out with. He had this
that's not
Rocky
that's
Balboa
the
toy, and he said
joke.
a lot of people don't realise this Rocky Balboa toy has been in quite a few unusual places, such as my arse. And then it finishes, and he got 16 million views for that.
If I was to pick that apart, sometimes it's like,
yeah,
hey,
but he just comes out with these, and sometimes I sort of think, what was that? That wasn't even funny, but it's like 16 million views.
And then you can just chat some shit, you know. Yeah, because that first one was a great joke. That was actually really funny. Surprising, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it's all about. You can do anything you like once you've got your following and they like you. You can do absolutely anything. Yeah. So that's well, that's my theory about some of these social media stars, that they got lucky on the algorithm, got a few popular videos, then built up a following from that, and then whatever they put out afterwards, it didn't really matter what it was, because they've already got their fan base.
This is the one thing I do love. I love to
which is why I've had to come onto your show to make sure I get a bigger fan base to stream my new record called Bitches, which is on Spotify.
Sometimes it just goes wild. Mostly we'll go into conspiracies, which is again that'll be a separate show. Well, listen, this has been a very, very fun conversation.
Yeah,
it's been extremely fun. I've had a great time. We will get you back on again. I say we, it'll be me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had so much fun.
Don't think they're going to think you're a wacky weirdo. Trust me. If anything, they might like that, because we.
Well, thanks for asking me to come on.
Well, you said it
and
twice.
It's been great fun, and hopefully all your listeners enjoy the show.
Yeah. But that's a good thing. Trust me. For this show, it's good.
I don't think they'll think it. I think they'll know it. Well, I am a bit wacky, and I'm probably a little bit weird. I mean, I certainly do some very strange things.
I don't think you should.
And, well, it's good, and sometimes
it
backfires, and sometimes I wonder why did I do that. But you know, it's part of me, and it's how I am, and I've always been like it. That's the problem. I've never grown up, and I don't want to either. And I'm not going to change for anyone either.
Occasionally, there is some good advice.
No, I'm just going to be me, and if people don't like it, that's tough.
Even in live stories.
Yeah.
We was gonna get into the follows.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, it's like my songs. You know, if people like them, they can stream them. By the way, you can stream them on Spotify and Apple Music and any major platform. But I mean, the way I look at it is, I put records out. I actually don't put records out for other people. I write them for myself, and if they happen to like them, that's good. And if they don't, well, I kind of think, well, maybe they'll like the next one. And my music producer said to me the other day, Gaz, you should have a record out every month, and we do that for 12 months. And I said, that will be really hard work, because I mean, I'm up for the challenge. It's a lot of work. I think I would like to do it, but I think the quality.
Well, it does.
Well, it's doable, and probably you could make quite a lot of money doing it, because don't forget all these music platforms now, they're all algorithmic. So if you started releasing lots of releases all of a sudden, that could trigger the algorithm and maybe it would get excited. But I think if I was putting out a record a month, I think probably people would get confused and it probably wouldn't even allow some of the potential bigger releases like, say, Bitches to get around, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's a bit more practical to do, say, one record every 3 months, because that probably wouldn't damage the quality as well. Because you know, some artists, I feel, you said Coldplay's changed. I mean, I've never been a big fan of Coldplay, but there was one of their tracks. I think it was Adventure of a Lifetime, and I really, yeah, I loved that song. I never stopped playing it. That was the only record of theirs that I've ever liked.
No.
Well, there's churning out tracks. Yeah. It made lots of money, but the thing is, Elvis was never happy with that. He and well, we was talking about some of my other influences like the Pet Shop Boys. I mean, the Pet Shop Boys, they for me they're great electronic artists, but what they're doing now in comparison to what they was doing when they first started out, so much better. What they're doing now, they're more probably crafted, but not as good in my view.
All that shit. There's a recent documentary. Big fan. Yeah, we did. We spoke about it. Yeah, we did speak about it, and it was. I'm a big fan. I always have been since I was a child.
Yeah.
And there's a recent documentary.
Well, I love Britney Spears, and I think probably even Jessica would probably say that. Yeah, Britney's an inspiration certainly as well.
Which well, my singular show I'm going to use to round up the season. But I want to mention it now because this
same here.
Before then, unfortunately, it's at the end of an episode. The documentary is fucking eye-opening. It was again one of 3 documentaries that I'd watched in a day. The first one I'd mentioned earlier on. The second, this Britney Spears, the Elvis one. The second, this Britney Spears documentary, which was called Britney versus Spears. It released yesterday. It was eye-opening. The fact that the whole legal bullshit behind it is what makes it. You're like, wait a minute. How is half of this allowed? And it is a documentary that I advise anybody to watch that is or isn't a fan of Britney Spears. If you're a fan of art, you need to watch it because the journalism behind it was fantastic. I did briefly have some notes yesterday about the journalist's name, and she was fantastic. The work that she's done behind that documentary is phenomenal. It's well, it's not even that. There was moments where she was trying to, because of the conservatorship, she was trying to reach out in her songs and almost putting subliminal messages in, and that in itself is
and Britney's tracks are so. That was the like Circus. There's music. Well, there's just so many of them, isn't there? You know. Right. Yeah. But that's the great thing about music. You can like when I wrote Bitches, I wasn't trying to say, hey, look at me or anything like that. It was just a song that came to me, and then my music producer said, oh, this is going to be amazing, and but it wasn't written to kind of go, oh, look at me, here's me saying on Bitches, you know. It was kind of just a song that came to me, but I guess my titles of my tracks are a bit unusual, and I certainly want to keep it in that vein. I don't want to go, here's a love song and I love you type thing. I don't want to do that. So I want to do these sort of, you know, tracks that you're hopefully going to remember, and the artwork's memorable and the video's memorable. Hopefully I've got the complete sort of package now, And yeah, okay, I'm approaching 52, but so what? I mean, I don't think it does. And there's so many, maybe, well, I've got a lot of young followers that follow me. Some of them are 13, 14, 15, and they love my music. So, and I know that because they're always leaving their comments. They send me messages on Instagram. And like, I'm not a big Instagrammer, but you know, I get messages on there and on Facebook Messenger as well. If I'm honest, I probably use Facebook Messenger more. So,
Bob Ross, the painter.
you know,
there's a recent documentary out about him as well, and I didn't realise how much he was ripped off his life. I didn't realise that he was battling cancer for a lot of his life, and he stacked up a bunch of shows towards the end, powered through it, and this is the only other reason I was going to mention it.
I've heard of
again, we spoke before the show, we spoke midway through about you wanted to release as much as you can.
Oh,
I would recommend to you watching that Bob Ross documentary. It is very, I mean, again,
no, I didn't know that.
Brought a tear to my eye because it was all written from his son. It's very, very wild as well. 5 minutes into the documentary, the people that he makes a deal with was like her husband.
Yeah, I will.
CIA, and I was like, whoa, this is gonna get immediately. This is 5 minutes in. I'm like, this is gonna get wild. Did not expect the CIA, Bob Ross. Did not expect it. But the only reason that it made me get a bit emotional towards the end was he sort of knew his demise and he got ripped off. He doesn't even own his son. None of his family own any rights to his name.
You're not expecting that. You're not expecting it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very, very tricky industry, but it's.
Yeah, that happens to a lot of artists, unfortunately. I copyrighted my name years ago, so listen, no one. They have to get permission if they want to be me, basically. And who wants to be me? Not anybody.
Do you know, well,
there is it's all about documentaries and things to watch. There's something you forgot to mention, which is the Bitches video on YouTube. That's something worth watching. You almost choked on your beer again. Oh, thank you. Oh, I've enjoyed it. Yeah. Well, they could follow me on TikTok. Just search Gaz Reynolds. I think you're going to have some links in the show notes anyway, aren't you? Also, why not check me out on YouTube, Gaz Reynolds, GAZREYNOLDS, and of course you can stream all of my songs, including my new record, Bitches, on Spotify and all the major, music platforms. Amazon, YouTube Music, yeah. Oh, I hate YouTube Music. Sometimes you get lots of views, and other times you don't get many views. But it's literally every. And anyway, I've sent you over some links of me on sale. I've just started hitting the Japanese market, so the records are coming out in Japan. It's quite interesting seeing all that Japanese stuff. I love all that, and well, just everywhere, Amazon, the whole lot. But yeah, just go and just search Gaz Reynolds. You'll come up with something, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, Goop. I plugged your name straight into there.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah. They do. YouTube's very good for advertising my records. They do certainly plug them. And Google, yes.
Absolutely.
You know why?
I shall do.
Because Google verified me. So they verified me a few months ago. So I think that helps with the algorithm as well, so stuff comes up. But I'm in quite a few magazines coming up soon, so keep an eye out for them as well. Just Google Gaz Reynolds and I'll be in some stuff somewhere.
List after the show as well. I'll send you a bunch of stuff. Listen, this has been the Posthuman Podcast. We've been here tonight with the fucking absolutely sensational Gaz Reynolds. Brilliant fucking show. I've been your host, Tim Turner. Thank you very much, people. And,
Yeah, one or two.
Night. Thank you.